labels didn't want to pick up on the band, and they felt there was no future for us, you know.
They were looking at bands and saying, how much money can we make with this band? Well, this is a gothic band, we're not going to make any money with them, so we're not interested in them.
I would send out press kits to record labels like Caroline and Triple X and oh my God, Cleopatra, everybody, they all turned us down.
And when we first started doing it, you know, you would tell your friends, oh yeah, you know, we send a press packet to, you know, Sony or whoever at the time, and you know, we're waiting back to hear from them. Hopefully, you know, everything will work out. Well, it starts to come to a point where you don't tell anybody anymore because you get those letters back saying, thank you for your, you know, the information you sent. At this time, we're not looking for your style, or at this time, we're not looking for this, that, and the other thing.
You know, people are interested in sort of matching their preconceptions, and Empire Hideous didn't do that. And that was one of the problems in promoting it.
So when we were turned down because we weren't part of the mainstream.
Rock and roll, it started as a revolutionary force. We knew that it was accused of being of the devil, you know, that it was going to mean damnation of society and the ruination of youth, etc., etc.
If it doesn't upset your parents, it's not rock music. You know, so rock music is all about rebellion.
And I think that by intuition we just knew that it was a weapon that we could use.
When we were pissed off and going on stage and Tony wanted to just slam a chord at the audience, he did. And it was accepted. It was real.
When I was in Carnivore, I had intentionally written songs like Jesus Hitler, God is Dead. I mean, I attacked left-wing people, right-wing people.
That's what music's for. That's what art's for. They have you hear or see something that you may not want to look at. That's a good reminder.
I think Black Sabbath is sincerely honest, and it's very sincere. His music is very simple, yet incredibly controversial and incredibly complicated. With complicated people.
That's rock. You know, rock is taking those primal feelings and amplifying them to 150 fucking decibels and saying fuck you to the world.
In the 60s, rock and roll was what we who were young then had to change the world.
I had seen videos of bands that use animal heads or carcasses or whatever in their videos or for their live shows. In fact, one of them is Carnivore.
We had to think of something that hasn't been done before, reflects the band's image, is cost-effective, transportable, and non-flammable.
Carnivore used to throw an entire slab of like meat, of like a lamb, throw it right into the audience.
We used to throw meat out on stage, you know, that was our big thing.
It was horrible, it was disgusting.
What became harder was the pressure to perform like this. Is not like, you know, back in the 60s where a band had no stage show. I mean, now production is like 2/3 of the show.
Empire Hideous always opened doors to the things that were taboo or just plain not accepted within everyday society.
There's always people out there that, you know, cut themselves on stage and do stuff like that.
I would watch and think it was kind of cool. I don't know. I like seeing weird things, so as long as no blood gets on me.
A lot of people's instruments stop with what they're playing. You know, for me, your whole body is an instrument. You know, you can kind of, it's involved just as importantly as in the music as the instrument that you're actually creating the music through.
Not everything you do sometimes in art or performance or music is going to appeal to everyone. And I understand that. But at the same time, we did have a crowd for it.
Our stage act was often quite violent. We didn't hold back with any of our statements, either religiously or politically or anything like that.
I used to even have a television on stage. I used to play like nothing but Carnage and like autopsies and accidents and explosions, and that used to disturb people too.
So I've seen him come out on stage. He writes stuff all over his body. He just the way he looks at the audience, it's totally different.
Remember I told you it wasn't Sweet Convulsions? This guy he had a metal plate, I don't know what he did, and he used to put fireworks on it. And he strapped himself on a cross.
Who's to say what's acceptable and what's not? What I was doing was what Empire Hideous represented. That was my sledgehammer to the face of the audience to let them know Empire Hideous exists. That's what this is what we do.
Dude would fucking take lashes on stage. Mr. Monster would go up with some fake blood and shit. My kid was bleeding on stage. That dude, that was real blood. And that dude was getting injected with hypodermic needles and Some people might do it for attention. Some people might do it to express whatever pain and anguish, they're trying to get across to the audience.
I was doing it because I felt it was interesting. There was always a manner of consciousness where, make sure you don't kill me. It's got to be done the right way or don't do it at all.
A musician works all the technical things of rhythm and harmony and melody and whatnot. Those things are secondary to the vibe, the feel, the darkness of what comes out of an Empire Hideous show.
If you don't have the music to back it up, it doesn't really mean anything.
I mean, punk rock in essence is all about shock. You get these big crazy mohawks and piercings everywhere, and that was we're here to shake things up and get a reaction out of it.
The similarity between Empire Hideous and Sweet Convulsions at that time was that we had a lot of theatrical stuff going on. We would have props.
With the pig heads on pikes, nothing that upsets people in New York.
Like two pig heads on stage. And I'm like holding them and doing creepy things with them. Somewhere like 10 or 15 goths got up, single filely, walked out of the show.
During a performance, Mike's singing, he goes over and he'll pull off the cloth and pull off the other cloth and he's licking it and all this other crazy stuff. So we're just thinking business as usual.
I was trying to make a point. These kids got up and walked out of my show because they were insulted that I did that stunt on stage. A week later, I went out to a club, and as I walked in, I saw those same people, and as I approached them, they all turned around and walked the other way. And this girl walks over to me, and she says to me, Mike, I really like Empire Hideous, but I gotta say, a bunch of us are really upset that you used pig heads on stage. Meanwhile, this girl is standing in front of me. She's wearing leather boots, she's wearing multiple leather belts, and she's telling me that what I did was wrong. So I said to her, let me ask you a question. Do you own an Empire Hideous record? She said no. I said, have you ever read the lyrics to one of my songs? She said no. I said, well then who the fuck do you think you are? And all your friends pointing the finger at me for apparently doing something that was immorally wrong to animals. I said, do you even know me? It was at that time in my life when I pulled out of the goth scene. If this is what I've got to deal with, you people can screw. I'm doing things my way from now on.
A lot of people think getting signed and then you've made it. I believe getting signed is you haven't made it. You've gotten somewhere, and that's great, but you got to take advantage of that part, and that should make you even want to push even harder, because now you got at least your foot in the door to try to do something, and that should make you got to be hungry.
Well, I'm 45. I have not been signed to any major label or indie or anything like that.
I mean, there are two things that people should never look into, and that is what goes into the workings of record companies and what goes into the making of sausages. You don't want to know.
Well, you don't know what they promise you, certain things like money and stuff and support, like money for videos, whatever you're doing.
They get this
textbook concept of like how to market things. And it works for some things, but then there's certain things like the undead or anything Misfits related that's a totally unique, animal.
Yeah, well, with Murphy's Law, we have no record. We just got our, that band has had no record label or anything in years.
They control the industry because the bands let them.
People who make decisions, whether they're going to sign a band, if they're like in a bad mood that day, or if they see one thing that they don't like of the band, even if they like the band, it may change the decision. It may cost a career of a band.
I think the only place that we don't make any money at all, never have, not a dime, not a penny, is on album sales, on mechanical royalties.
Would I like $1 million check because my song hit big? Yes. Anyone that says no is a fucking liar. But that was never a priority for me.
Who gives a fuck, you know? I mean, I know a lot of people do, but it's fucking stupid.
We could see it, but the record company couldn't see it. They just heard the goth label. It's like, oh, goth, we don't even want to see it. We don't want to know what it is. We're making money with this now.
If you get rejected by a label, and you're trying your hardest to get to that certain summit, it's just really hard, man. You feel like you're a failure.
So I finally gave up trying to waste my money chasing labels down. I decided, no, the only money I'm spending, I could just like put this out myself and do something with it. Got about $6,000 together and pressed up Act Your Age. We hit 10,000 sales in probably about 8 months. And it just like snowballed from there, but it really pissed off a lot of people in the record industry because this was the record that all the experts said would never sell.
More bands would just do their own thing and not worry about what the fuck the record label wants, then the record label wouldn't be able to control the whole fucking industry.
I really stopped trying. I didn't give a damn what any record label said. I started doing what I wanted to do. And I proved it because of the fans that eventually were coming in with Empire Hideous and just my work in general were appreciating it for what it was.
Mid-level bands, okay, are having a hard time scrounging out a living. Now, mid-level, I'm talking maybe bands that sell, 400,000, 300,000, 400,000 records, what's going to motivate them to take out, oh, there's a new rock band, I like them, let's just take them out and break them, like Motley Crue did with us.
I had tried numerous times to try to get Empire Hideous on tour.
He wanted me to showcase an event.
I was trying to help him on a ground level by, trying to book shows with him and stuff.
He would bring, a representative from the label to see the band, get signed, go on tour.
It is stated in record company contracts that fulfilling the contract meant that the band had to tour, but the record company also had say in the opening bands.
We needed to get on a label in order to do a tour with a major band like Typo, and we had no label.
I wanted to have Mike's band be given an opportunity to be signed.
So within the course of a year, Peter and I started hanging out and started talking about how it could happen. I booked the show, all-out show, which included me with hypodermic needles pierced in my forehead.
He does stuff on stage that he normally wouldn't do as a way to express himself.
Yeah, needles in his forehead and stuff, taking that stuff out.
A guy actually passed out in the audience because it just freaked him out so much. He had a phobia of needles.
Yeah, I know the crown of thorns where he was pulling them out and licking them.
And I'd start pulling them out, and the blood was pouring down. I was wearing a crown of thorns, and then somewhere in the show, I got whipped.
And we were just trying to pull out all the stops and really, try and make an impression.
So Monty Connor, rep for Roadrunner Records, shows up at the gig as Peter had said he was going to bring him along.
I do recall seeing Empire Hideous, and I'm pretty sure I did bring Monty Connor down.